All right. So I've been playing Ascension's Bronzebeard server for about 9 hours now, and also talking to a couple of different players in the Discord for Bronzebeard. And there's a lot of great things about the server, a lot of the stuff that I like so far. The open world leveling and all of the improvements that they've made to it has been really good. I'm just worried because there's also quite a few negatives that I've discovered even as early on as 9 hours in that I think spells a really concerning future for Bronzebeard as the server ages. Um, I think the number one thing that I want to talk about first is dungeons. And by the way, I have friend that I've known for a couple of years, and he's actually the one that introduced me to Ascension. And, we were talking about it last night. We talked for like 40, 50 minutes, and it honestly made me want to make a video because even though my opinion isn't more valid than any other players, I do make videos, and I figured if I could start a discussion that is healthy and helpful, maybe this stuff could actually be changed. It is an early access after all. So I don't really know what to call him, so I'll let him introduce himself however he chooses to.
I guess Eisen is just what I've been going by.
I mean, yeah, in my head I was thinking Eisen is just kind of the default, but yeah. So let's talk dungeons. You actually haven't been in the alpha quite yet. I'm actually gonna spend my content creator DP on getting you in, but you did watch the one dungeon I've done on this character so far, and there's a reason that I've only done one. Um, so what are your thoughts off of just looking at a dungeon?
First, it's very... Is this original 9 or is this supposed to be a classic plus? Which I haven't seen a clear definition of what Bronzebeard is supposed to be. Because if it...
In the announcement page and pretty much most of its marketing, it's called Classic Plus. Just for clarity.
If it's classic plus and that's the angle they're going for, the dungeon experience and Dungeon Finder in general completely kills it. In the 9 hours I've watched you play, and then the few other hours I've watched other people play, the open world, amazing. As soon as they go into a dungeon, it just feels like regular Ascension WoW.
Absolutely. So, just to jump in on that, I mean, I'm gonna have B-roll footage of me doing open world questing over this video, so you'll be able to see for yourself. I'm fighting mobs in the open world, and I've died 2, 3, maybe 4 times. And you might just say, skill issue, bad player, but no, I mean, they've taken great care to... I was typing /death, so I was wondering if it actually existed like it does for Path of Exile. But anyway, they've taken great care to overhaul the experience of the open world. I mean, not just in the items that are provided, but also all of the mobs have much more health, do much more damage, and seemingly also have more mechanics. I mean, I was questing over in Northwatch, the hold south of Ratchet, and the priests there had renew, heal, and smite just for like a random level 15 mob, and their smites were shaving off like 15-20% of my health. I mean, I had an easier time because I'm a shaman, so I already have wind shear, but I can only imagine what it's like for a class that either doesn't have an interrupt or it gets theirs much later into the leveling experience. The open world it's fantastic. It packs a punch. You get extra gear for exploring and finding cool little like items in the world, and you feel like you need that extra gear, you need that strength because the mobs are actually fairly dangerous. And it's been really fun. There's also this really cool thing that they've been doing because I want to heap praise because the point of this video isn't to just shit on the game. I just think some things need to change. There's this really cool system that they've been doing where when you kill a mob, say it's like a Northwatch Marine, because I'm already talking about it. So they're dudes who are in like full plate armor with a sword and a shield, right? And in traditional vanilla WoW, when you kill a mob and it drops a green item, it's randomly selected from a pool of green items that it has available to it. You can like look this stuff up on WoW databases or WoWhead or whatever, but it's seemingly picked at random and doesn't have much substance. The loot drops for like greens and blues in Bronzebeard, which is one of the coolest things about it, is it's actually based off of the mob. So I have an example here. I'm going to open my bank, but we have Marine's Helm of Vigilance, leg plates of Marshland Duty, boots of Naval Resolve, gauntlets of Marsh Fortitude. Like you just see, as I open these, they're all a matching set of gear, and the reason for that is because the mobs literally drop what they're wearing. They took the time to select mobs from the open world, and they literally took what they were wearing and made them green items that scale to the level that you are when you pick them up. That is fantastic. It's immersive, and in practice, it just feels really cool. So I cannot stop gushing about the open world. But the second that I dropped into a dungeon, it felt just like Elune. And Elune is a great server, but it is not at all close to the intended classic experience. I had a bear tank who wasn't max level, pulling 15 plus mobs. The healer was keeping him up with no issue. He like never dropped below 90% health. We were AoE grinding down all of the mobs in the dungeon, and the dungeon took like 5 minutes.
If I can jump in here.
Yeah.
To add on to that, because yes, in Classic you can pull a bunch of mobs, AoE them down, but the healer just didn't lose any mana on top of that. With no other healer, you're a shaman, you didn't even have to help heal. The one healer alone kept the entire group full health without losing any mana while pulling the entire dungeon and never stopping at all.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, just for proof, I'll probably overlay the actual run over this part of the video. And listen, that's a cool experience for Elune. That's kind of like what classless ends up being. That's how it goes, right? You know, you don't encounter challenge until high mythic plus keys or raiding or what have you. But I don't know if you've ever played a classic server. It is absolutely nothing like that the majority of the time. You get to do AoE pulls in Classic when you are like max level and you have decent enough gear and you have a really coordinated team, and it's still dangerous. Because in Vanilla, you didn't have heroic dungeons. The concept just didn't exist. There was a default difficulty, and they wanted it to be difficult. So most dungeons were really dangerous when you faced them at the level that they were intended to be. And so I expected, like, okay, we're going to go pack by pack. The mobs in the individual pack are going to have threatening mechanics. There's going to be reasons to care, reasons to cast interrupts, all of that juicy, classic style gameplay. And so I got none of that. You know, I felt like I was drowning in Classic Plus flavor when I was in the open world. It was fantastic. I'm fucking in love with the leveling. Like, I want to do it again. That is never something I say when I'm on Elune. That's never something I say if I'm on Area 52. I've never said that about Ascension before. Ascension's main bread and butter has always been endgame. I think they have nailed the leveling experience when you're out in the open world. The problem is dungeons are way too easy, and they're also super rewarding. I leveled up instantly the second I did that like 5-minute dungeon. And if I just kept doing dungeons, I would probably be level capped right now. But that's not really the experience that I signed up for when I paid for the early access of the server. I really want that kind of grueling leveling experience. And historically, and classic, if you went and you played classic, when you reach certain level points, let's say 15 for Ragefire Chasm, let's say 20 for Dead Mines or Wailing Caverns, you know, you would round up all of the quests associated with that dungeon. You would do it, and you'd get a massive, satisfying chunk of one-time experience related to the dungeon. And then unless you were farming a specific item for a specific breakpoint, most often really wasn't the case in the early level dungeons, you were just done with that dungeon. You moved on with your life, and you continued to enjoy the open world experience. And that just isn't present in Bronzebeard, and I think that makes dungeons, at least from a leveling sense, incredibly problematic.
They added so much to the open world, it's insane. Going through the quest areas that you would otherwise never see because Ascension quality of life.
Yes, like the Shaman Totem quest.
Yeah, the little things they hide in caves, like the imp trinket you got.
Yeah.
Even though it's not game breaking, it's probably not even that good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nice that it's there.
I mean, I can pull up my character page while you're talking and just show them. I mean, like, I have trinkets at level 20.
But it's sad that a lot of people just aren't going to see it, because why would you spend an hour or two a level when you could queue up for looking for group, get into a group that has an aura, they drop the wisdom ball, you pick up every quest, you do that dungeon in less than 10 minutes, and you level up 4 times from it.
Exactly. And, you know, some people could say that's the plus in Classic Plus, but I just think that's so far that it's no longer a remotely classic experience. I think the point of a server like this is to maintain at least the majority of the classic experience. And I think that kind of kills all of it, in my opinion.
If you look at any of the hardcore classic videos or any of the depth hardcore clips, if you're in a dungeon and 2 packs get pulled,
you run, you roach.
Get out of there, or use everything in your bags and potions and try, and even then you still might die.
Yeah.
In Bronzebeard, it's pull the entire dungeon at once, everyone AoEs it down, no struggle at all, and then you just queue up for the next one.
Yeah. So, feels a lot like retail, or it feels a lot like a loon. That's really the feel that it gives off. And we're spending a lot of time on dungeons, but I think this is such a core problem that, listen, I chose for my own personal enjoyment to not dungeon spam. I played one and I was like, this isn't it. I want a quest. So I stopped queuing. When this server hits the rest of the player base, when it comes out for free and it's released to everyone, if dungeons are still in this state, there is no open world. I'm being honest. There is no open world. You spent how many dev man hours placing over 1,000 hand-created cool items that immersively were put into the world. You made open world mobs drop what they're wearing as gear. You did all of these improvements. None of it will be seen after level 15. The second dungeons come out, and the second someone who queues up and they level up once or twice from one dungeon, they go, oh, I should just be doing this until I hit max, because it would be stupid not to. And from an efficiency perspective, which is a lens that a lot of gamers view games in, they are just going to feel stupid for not doing it, and it's going to feel bad. So unless we want Bronzebeard to be the dungeon spam simulator that Elune is, which doesn't sound classic plus to me, we need to fix dungeons. There's a couple of ways, that honestly we talked about. I think no one answer is correct. I think a mixture of all of them would probably be great. But honestly, off of the top of my head, something like 25, the experience that mobs give now needs to be like cut into quarters. Like they need to give like 25% of what they do now, so that just grinding dungeon mobs doesn't give you massive amounts of experience. But to compensate that and to get it more into the classic vibe where, you do Dead Mines with all of the Dead Mines quests, you complete it, you get a nice fat chunk of experience, and you move on. I think dungeon quests should be like tripled or quadrupled, whatever it needs to be, to where the dungeon quest itself feels like a really rewarding experience. And it gives good gear. Maybe like dungeon quest gear needs to be adjusted and looked at, whatever, from a dev angle. And make it so that you want to do those quests. And then when you're done, you're like, okay, it's literally slower to be in this dungeon for experience than it would be to do open world. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to go do something else. I think that, in my opinion, would help with a lot with the dungeon experience. And two, because here's the major problem. Dungeons need to be harder, or players need to be weaker, whichever one that is. I think it should be more towards dungeons harder. Because I've been playing, and unless I'm doing something terribly, terribly wrong, whenever I cast a healing spell, just did it now, it's about 10% of my experience. Or mana. So if I have to cast 10 heals, I'm tapped. So I think the problem is, because I didn't watch my own dungeon run frame by frame after I recorded it. I just don't think the healer's pressing that many buttons, because either the tank is too tanky, or their heal is too strong, where they're just like throwing out a heal when the tank gets to like 70% and it just taps them up instantly. I don't know what it was. If the tank was too strong or the healer was too strong, I don't know. But I would prefer that dungeons be harder instead of players get nerfed. Because honestly, from what I've seen, when I'm in the open world, I don't feel very overpowered. I feel properly challenged. But that just disappears when a dungeon happens, for whatever reason. So maybe, I don't know, maybe dungeons haven't been tuned properly. You could even say that might be very likely, because again, a lot of the dev time of this server has been exclusively open world. So who knows, maybe they haven't looked at dungeons and they're like, shit, they actually are way too easy. Maybe they're already working on a fix to make them stronger. I don't know. But I just think it's something that needs to happen.
It's a good idea with the quest. My only worry with it, like that, where the dungeon itself doesn't give you that much experience, but the quest gives you a lot more than it usually would, is that people would queue in, and if it's a dungeon they already did, they would just bail. They would just not do the dungeon at all.
Yeah.
Which I think is more of an issue with the looking for group as it stands now, where it's as soon as you can go in, you can join any dungeon from any level, rather than you're level 15, you can go into Ragefire Chasm.
Yeah.
You get level 20, you get these two, you get level 30, you get this handful.
Yeah.
When you can join a... what was it, Ordeman?
Yeah.
Ordeman at level 15, and not have to worry about anything. All it's going to turn into is join the dungeon, drop the head, see if you have quests. You don't, alright, leave this, join again.
Yeah. So here's my response to that. And it's kind of a nuclear option, and I don't know how many people will like when I say it, but I'm going to say it. Dungeon Finder shouldn't exist in a Classic Plus server. It just shouldn't. It was added in Wrath. It was widely hated on its release. It's been a sore topic among MMO players for as long as it has existed. And I don't think any single feature has done more to kill the social aspect of World of Warcraft than Dungeon Finder. And so it would solve a plethora of problems. It's not purely negative. It does come with some like pluses and minuses, because I'm devil's advocate. If you're a player who came to Bronzebeard 3 months after launch and everyone is already capped and you want to do dead mines, who the fuck is doing dead mines with you? Not a soul, because no one cares about dead mines. But honestly, I think they could maybe introduce a like helping players system, maybe. I don't know. Kind of similar to how the mentor system works, to counteract that problem, where if you're level 60 and you run dead mines, obviously once again the gear's going to scale to level 60. But if you've been capped for a month, normal dungeon gear, even scaling to 60, not really worth your time. But maybe they could introduce a sort of helping system where you can go back, and if the player who's doing the dungeon has the dungeon quests in their inventory, you get like a large amount of marks of Ascension or some other tangible reward that might be worthwhile when the final boss is killed. I don't know, something like that, spitballing. There's pluses and minuses to every single system. And honestly, I think in a classic environment, it's much better to like want to or have to, depending on your feeling, throw a Dead Mines group together and all travel to the dungeon together, and dungeon mobs that guard dungeon entrances should be a little too hard for one player to do reasonably. I don't know. Maybe there's a skill element where, I don't know, maybe shamans, maybe hunters, things that have like aggro manipulation mechanics can maybe get to dungeons on their own, but maybe you don't even need that. That's just getting more into my own design philosophy. But I think looking for group just shouldn't exist, really.
To segue off of that onto our next big topic, the other thing in the looking for group tab, Mana Storm should not be in Bronze. I can't speak. Bronzebeard. It shouldn't be in the game at all.
Yeah.
For this type of experience. It will kill the open world almost entirely if looking for group didn't. You would hit the point where you can jump in, and you would get a leveling group for Mana Storms. And then go from whatever level that is, I think it's 10 in a loon.
Yeah.
To level cap, to full gear without leaving your capital city.
Yeah.
Just queue. Oh, you didn't get it. Go back 5 levels, do it again. Get your boxes, get your gear, and never end.
Yeah. Yeah, so I completely agree. Mana Storm, I don't know, for maybe players who have played Classic before, but not a loon, and they've come to look at Bronzebeard because it says Classic Plus, it's a system that they introduced in Season 9 of their like seasonal servers, where you're basically in a never-ending dungeon that goes from level 1 to level whatever you bother to go to, and you can play with just yourself. It's completely soloable. It doesn't even require social interaction in an MMO. Or you can have it up to like a raid size of, I think 25 is the cap for Mana Storm, but it might be 40, I don't know. It doesn't usually happen anyway. And you and however many buddies you have, or just yourself, you fight a marked boss that has like a skull over its head, and then it instantly opens a portal that teleports you to the next instance. You just sit in a metaphorical box and you kill things that are marked by a skull to go into your next box. You interact with no players. There's no open world. There's no travel. There's no exploration. All of the features that this entire server has been developed on so far are completely axed by Manastorm. You're not going to go to Northwatch and find the secret sword in the grave behind one of the towers. You're not going to go to the Venture Co. company mining cave and find the secret golden ring that I'm wearing right now. You're not going to find any open world loot. You're not going to find any new shit. You're not going to find any mystic enchants. You're just sitting in a box, killing mobs, interacting with no one. You're in like a fucking goon cave, basically, metaphorically. It is completely and utterly against the concept of classic. And I looked and I saw that Bronzebeard plans, thank God, it's not currently in the game right now. It's not implemented. But it plans to do it. And it horrifies me. Not because I dislike the mode. I like the mode on Elune. But if we add all of the shit that makes Elune to Bronzebeard, what is left? Is it just the fact that I'm a shaman and nothing else? Is that the only determining factor of what makes classic classic? I don't think it is. And I think that level of convenience and ease of access and all of these things is antithetical to what builds the social contract that vanilla is enjoyed around. You want to be a good group member because if you're a ninja looter, if you're a dickhead, if you're a bad player who constantly griefs their party, the population is low enough that you will be remembered and you will be kicked out. And that's honestly a good thing because it makes people behave and it makes it so that you actually have to socially interact with the people that you're playing the game with. That's kind of the core of what an MMO is supposed to be. When you don't even have to worry about ninja looting because you can get all of the same loot in that dungeon you want to do in Manastorm, completely kills it. You don't have to run any dungeon. You don't have to run any raid. Both dungeon and raid gear is available in Manastorms if you're unaware. So it is the death of an MMO. It turns it into a single player game. It turns it into a single player RPG, like ARPG, kind of like Diablo or Path of Exile. And I love those games. But if I wanted to play those games, I would go play those games. I don't need or want that experience in a classic server. So honestly, I almost have no tips or changes that I could really recommend for Manastorm other than it shouldn't come at all. The only thing that I've been able to really think of charitably is that if Manastorm needs to exist, because yes, it is a revolutionary mode that they spent a lot of dev time on in Season 9 making. It's not like they just ripped it from something else. They made it all their own. It took a lot of work, so I get that they want to use it. The only thing I could really see it existing in Bronzebeard for is a sort of, I don't know if everyone who watches this will have played Legion, but in World of Warcraft's Legion expansion, they had a thing called the Mage Tower, which is basically this little piece of side content that really offered no tangible gearing rewards or anything. It didn't make you any stronger as a player, but it was a difficult, challenging set of content that was received very well by the community at the time. And all it did was offer really cool cosmetics that you could get, and it was kind of like a badge of honor or like bragging rights to other players who have had the highest level of Mage Tower cosmetic. So if they do something like that with Manastorm where it really doesn't reward any gear, it's not for that, but you can go into it and you can get to a super high level and you can get really cool, unique cosmetics that you can't get anywhere else, I think that's the best implementation that it could really have. And it's already kind of done that in Elune. It still offers gear, of course, but I just want to bring up the bear. So if you got to level 1,000 in Mana Storm in Season 9 Alune, you could find this secret boss, and if you killed this secret boss, you got Arctos, which is this. I have it pulled up on my video. You'll see it when you watch it. It's this really cool, really well designed, super high poly, awesome polar bear that has like ice growing out of it, and it's the only place in the entire game where you can get this and you can look like this as a druid. It's fucking awesome, and it only comes from Mana Storm. I think that's where Mana Storm has to exist in. I think it has to have cosmetics that maybe each class can chase and nothing else, in my opinion.
If it's going to be added, that's the only way that I can think of having it without it just ruining the entire server. And, you know, there are people who love Mana Storms. There are people who only do Mana Storms. There's the group of people that say, well, I don't spend all day on games, so I can only play like 30 minutes. I don't have time for a dungeon. I don't have time for a raid. I just go in and do Mana Storms. That's fine, but for the end game, the end game,
Yeah.
in Alune, there was no reason to do anything but Mana Storm until your full raid gear, and then you could do your Ascended raid or your high key Mythic Blesses. But for 90% of the player base, getting that end raid gear, that was it. You're done.
Yeah. You basically did everything you set out to do, and you did it in a little box by yourself, listening to music, and now you're done. So, like, did you even play WoW? Did you play an MMO? I don't know. My heart goes out to the straw man gamer dad who can only play 10 minutes of WoW every single day and never has any time to play the game. But I'm sorry. Maybe an MMO is too much of an investment for you. I don't know. I don't want to say you're not welcome, but Alune has Mana Storm, and I think it caters to that flavor of WoW a lot harder. I don't know how common it is to have a gamer dad who can only play 10 minutes a day, and also a guy who wants classic flavor. I don't know how common that is, honestly.
Even with that, the gamer dad who can only play, so I mean, I'm a gamer dad, but obviously I play more than just the 30 to an hour a day.
Yeah.
Right now in Retail's classic version, there are people like that, and they're loving the game.
Yeah.
There are people who are like that, the boomer gamers, the dad gamers.
Yeah, whatever
they
you want to call them.
want the classic experience because that's what they're chasing when they go to a realm like this, when they go to a server like this. If they wanted the Alune gameplay, they'd play Alune. If they wanted the, oh, I don't have time to get everything, they would go to Free Pick.
I completely agree, because I'm even thinking about it, putting myself in their shoes. If I had 30 minutes to an hour to play every day, I wouldn't want to spend it going turbo fast in Mana Storm, efficiency. Think about the return on investment, which this game is free when it comes out, you know. But think about the return on investment on an amazing open world experience that we've done nothing but fucking gush about, and you can only play an hour a day. So this game is literally your game. It lasts you like 2-3 months. Literally. Like anytime you want to play, you're itching to play. It's an awesome experience, and it lasts so long for you. Like, I don't know. I don't want to see that trivialized to where they like this game so much that they look at content for it, or they try to talk to other people for it, and then the other people go, bro, why the fuck aren't you in Mana Storms? You know? I just don't want that interaction to really happen.
When you were doing the open world, and this is the first thing that came to mind, if I was in a situation where I could only play an hour a day,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the choice between doing 4 or 5 dungeons, getting a bunch of nonsense gear, or killing that one rare, getting the mythic enchant and an axe that carried you until you got that dungeon weapon,
Yeah.
I would take the latter. Just because in my head all day I'd be like, man, I only played for an hour, but I got this
With
amazing
that
weapon,
fucking
and
axe, dude.
yeah.
Yeah. You'd like daydream about it. And in Mana Storm, you're just swimming in oceans of loot, and the lack of scarcity has made you numb to like everything. It's just stuff. You just have stuff, and there's a real element to scarcity in games, especially RPGs and MMOs, that makes getting stuff feel good. And you just don't get that in Mana Storm. Once again, it's too lucrative. It's too rewarding.
And we probably should have said this at the beginning. I've played Ascension for 6 years. I've played Classic when it came out, all the way up to retail, every expansion.
Yeah.
Played private servers, Nostarius, when it was still a thing, so on and so forth. And
Yeah.
you have similar experience in it. And the joy in your voice when you went to a vendor and bought
Yeah.
yourself boots.
Dude, I got some fresh kicks. Like I just and there's not emotion in my voice often. So you know the game is good when, you know, I'm kicking my feet and shit. It's good stuff. It really is. And I don't want to lose it. I've had more fun playing, like, the changes did something, you know, because I'm thinking about it and I'm reflecting on it, and I easily have had more fun leveling in Bronzebeard than I did in the actual classic WoW, like hosted by Blizzard. Way more fun. So, yeah, I mean, that's Mana Storm. I think we should get on to the next topic now.
Another very hot topic. You want to get into heirlooms?
I'm not going to spend long on this one because I think it retreads a lot of the same ground, in my opinion. Heirlooms are shit and don't exist, or shouldn't exist. If you're in the patch of player who like only played vanilla and you don't know what heirlooms are premium statted gear that pretty much have exactly what you want. They can be equipped from level 1 and they scale with you all the way to max level, and they also provide bonus experience. This is great on character number 23 when you are absolutely fed up with leveling and you don't want to do it anymore and you just want it to be faster. But it is, once again, entirely, in every way, against the classic vibe. It's giving you experience boosts for free. Just wearing the gear gives you 10% experience per, I think it's like head, shoulders, chest, pants, cape.
Both trinkets.
Trinkets even give experience in a loot?
Yeah.
But regardless, just pretty much anything you wear gives you experience. It's fucking crazy. Yeah. Even like the weapons, I'm looking at my vanity right now. Even the weapons give you 10% experience. So if you're wearing a full set, you're getting like 200% experience, and no gear that could ever drop from the entire open world or anything that you fucking find for that matter will ever matter.
That's not even touching on that the trinkets have a bonus effect along with the spell power it would give or attack power it would give. When you kill an enemy, if you have 2 of them on, it gives you 4% of your max health and mana per second for a few seconds. So you would never need to stop.
Yeah. And that's something we haven't even talked about. Anyone who's played classic or vanilla or whatever knows that there is a sort of gameplay loop where your resources, rightly so, are not infinite. I have to like sit down and drink to get my mana back in Bronzebeard while leveling. It's fantastic. I love it. I don't mind finite resources because they're what makes anything matter, right? There's no threat of death if I have a heal that heals 50% of my health, and I can also do it as much as I want. I just won't die. But if I run out of mana, I'm fucking dead. So finite resources makes the game good. Heirlooms remove your finite resources by giving you massive, for free, regeneration. Super bad. Super bad. Listen, I love them if I'm playing a loon and I want to do a prestige run in 25 minutes with a potion and an aura and a full set of trinkets and whatever. That's the flavor of a loon. The go fast, the zoomer game, the fucking go, efficient, look how fast I can level, blah, blah, blah. Has nothing to do with classic, and I don't think they should exist. That's another thing where they're not implemented yet. You're not allowed to wear them yet, but in their frequently asked questions and in their survey results, heirlooms are coming. And I think it's a mistake. I think the halfway measure that I could give for people who already bought heirlooms on a loon and they want to use them on Bronzebeard, blah, 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 whatever. Let me use my money. Whatever argument you want to make. They can keep the stats, I guess. Maybe reduce the stats ever so slightly. You know, at level 10, maybe your axe should give 4 strength instead of 5. Because at level 10, it gives the highest strength of any single weapon in the entire game. It's crazy. It's already crazy. But maybe just take the experience boost away. I would take that as a happy medium, and I just probably wouldn't use them myself.
My opinion on it, which we're not devs.
Yeah.
Let's just throw it out there right now. Because it's a vanity item, somebody who's never touched Bronzebeard can jump in, get full set of heirloom, never do anything but dungeon, and just win, essentially. Get to end game.
Yeah.
Either make it so you can't wear it until you have at least one max level character, or make it so you can't transfer them through vanity from a loon to Bronzebeard. Because there are people right now who are sitting there doing that, getting from 1 to max level in 10 minutes, 20 minutes on a loon, who are going to jump into Bronzebeard, new server, everyone's going to be playing it because it's new. Slap on all their vanity gear, and then it just goes back to all the work they did in the open world is just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You'll never get that feeling of, oh, this mob dropped a blue weapon, that's huge. You'll never find that gold ring you found in the cave because you have your heirlooms.
Yeah. Yep. It's simple, honestly. Talking about it more is just treading over already covered ground. It's against everything classic. So I just think it shouldn't be in, or if it is in at all, like Eisen said, maybe have a way to earn it. You have to cap a character first. Maybe it doesn't transfer over with Vanity Sync, which is an item that basically gives you all your like premium shop items on this server at like a click of a button. Maybe have it so that they don't transfer, so that you can still buy heirlooms in a loon, but you have to sync that, like, I think it's like 250 gold at the vendor or something. However much gold it actually is, I don't know. Off the top of my head. But so that you have to earn it yourself on this server instead of you just basically start with it. I think both of those are okay. They're fine. But Yeah, I don't. Anyway, I slice it personally. For me, I don't think they should exist at all. Um, but I would be open to changes, mainly because at the end of the day, Bronzebeard is run for free. Everyone's going to play it for free, and the server has to be able to make money to exist. So they need to have things that they can sell you that you want to buy. A lot of people will say cosmetics, which is super valid. I mean, I have spent DP on cosmetics that I really enjoyed, but a lot of people, if there's going to be a gameplay advantage, they're going to buy it. So I think a lot of their profit is made in gameplay advantage, which is unfortunate because it feeds the narrative that the game is pay to win, which I don't think it ever has been. Because on a loon, you can swipe your credit card and get heirlooms and get an experience potion and get an aura and whatever, and you hit max level in level 20 and like, oh my god, or you hit max level in like 20 minutes and like, oh my god, look at how much you just won. But with the default experience rates, even without spending a dime, you can hit max level in like 5-6 hours or something. Default, no, raw dog, no potion, no aura, no nothing. You can still hit max in like 6 hours. I'm 9 hours in before I started recording this, and I'm only level 20. I got at least 40, 50, maybe even more hours until I hit actual cap. And if someone could come in with all of the stuff I just said and hit cap through Dungeon Finder in 10 minutes, why would I ever experience the open world? It all goes back to the same thing. Honestly. The server was designed with a complete overhaul to the open world experience, making it a lot better, a lot more satisfying, and very engaging. But if they're going to continue, as the server develops, to put 9 million different reasons you should never touch the open world, it's all going to go to waste. And I don't want to see it go to waste. I think the devs have done a very, very good job with the open world. I don't want to see it all go to waste. I really don't. So I think these systems are just kind of incongruent to the design philosophy that Bronzebeard is supposed to be. So, no heirlooms, in my opinion. Last topic for today, I believe. One that I want to talk about quite a bit, because I enjoy crafting. Crafting's good. It's really good, honestly. For initial thoughts, it looks fucking awesome. You know, people are throwing items that they made in the general chat over and over, which they're also linking items that they find in the open world as well. Very cool, because they actually care about these items. But general thoughts is, outside of max level crafting looks super good. If you're making yourself like a blue weapon at level 20 and it rolls stats that gives you like 9 strength and 8 stamina and it has a good weapon range, it's awesome. My problem is that the scalability of crafting and the way that it has been improved for Bronzebeard will not keep up with endgame systems. So there's some iconic crafts that, you know, vanilla enjoyers like. If I pull up like Atlas Loot and I look at crafting, right? There's the Arcanite Reaper for two-handed weapons. Oh, went to Burning Crusade. There's the Arcanite Reaper for two-handed weapons. I think almost anyone who's played vanilla knows the Arcanite Reaper. Really good axe for early on level 60 before you start doing like raids and whatnot and so forth. In Ascension, it rolls not just the base stats that the Arcanite Reaper has as shown on screen, it also rolls random modifiers. So if you've ever played WoW and you've gotten a green or sometimes dungeon blues, it'll say Frost Tiger Blade of the Monkey. The of the monkey is adding agility and stamina to the item. And I'm not going to go through like every single one, bloats the video. But basically, you can make an Arcanite Reaper of the monkey. And that's really fucking cool because it copy pastes stats that aren't usually on that item in any other server onto the item, making it a lot better depending on what it rolls. Even the fact that it can roll adds a sort of sense that maybe you don't always want to use the first Arcanite Reaper you make. You know, maybe you want to make more and get the perfect affix, and it's like a super good item because of it. All that shit is really cool when you're making like leveling gear and you're leveling up your profession and whatnot. But apply that concept to a world where you can do mythic raids and the gear that you drop from mythic raids is 20 item levels higher than the Arcanite Reaver. There's no agility and stamina that of the monkey can add to the weapon that realistically makes you ever use it. So there's a sort of inevitable obsolescence of crafting items that has existed in WoW for pretty much since WoW came out. You know, retail, Blizzard has never fixed it. Ascension has never fixed it. I've never played a server that fixed crafting items becoming useless, outside of like very specific chase items like legendaries.
So, not to discredit your point,
Yeah.
obviously, but they do have a system in retail right now, which I think would fix crafting in Ascension.
Yeah.
And I'll link you the screenshots now that I just took because I thought of it. And
Yeah. I mean, of course, like I haven't followed retail since Shadowlands, so if something changed.
It's like here's the first one. That is a crafting piece you can make. Has the random stats. Ignore the quality and all the other shit. Just look at the item box, right?
Yeah.
But doing the end game content, you can get an item to put in that will increase the item level of that item up to where it should be. Now, 636 isn't the max. I think the max right now of an item, besides like the super ring, is 639. So it's not the best of the best, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's damn close.
And if they added something like that,
yeah,
I think it would fix crafting.
Absolutely. So like we've even talked about this really cool that actually exists, by the way, because I didn't know that exists. So that's super cool. Like I love looking at that. That looks like maybe the game could ever actually be good. I don't know. Switching my scene on the video just to show the actual screenshot that we're looking at here. So yeah, so we see here rune branded hood, blah blah blah, items, random stat, blah blah blah. I'm assuming it's that 0 out of 1 spark that you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you put a spark in, it upgrades the item level of the crafted item to something really close to the max that is obtainable in the game. Fantastic. Super good. Like that a lot. My point, which is very similar, I've been my bad. Professional streamer. My point that I've been thinking about pretty much all day while I was at work was, so Mythic Plus is a system, for those unaware, because it's related to the crafting solution that I've been thinking of. Mythic Plus is a system where you take original vanilla dungeons and you kind of apply an infinitely scaling difficulty modifier. You know, dungeons get harder and harder and do more mechanics the higher and higher you go. So like Mythic 1 is not that much harder than Heroic or Mythic, but Mythic 10 is way harder than Heroic or Mythic. And it gets harder and harder and harder. but it drops better and better and better loot. So like, what's some iconic stuff in vanilla, right? Like Hand of Justice, maybe. Let me look here. Try and search it up. If I can't find it, it is what it is. I'm not gonna spend too long on it. Let's just use Angerforge's battle axe, for example. Right now, if we look at heroic, it's level 60, item level 61 with 15 strength and 9 stamina. I'm not going to read the damage range, but 15 strength, 9 stamina. If we bump it up to mythic 10, it's 21 strength, 12 stamina, more armor pen, more expertise rating. I didn't read that in the original item. My bad. And then we go all the way to mythic 40, which would be really far into the expansion. To be fair, this won't happen right away. Item level 95, 31 strength, 18 stamina, 27 armor pen, 13 expertise. So you have to make a crafted item, and you want to say, okay, this is my baby axe. I'm going to gather all of these rare reagents that cost hundreds of gold. I'm going to like, oh my God, I'm going to make a masterpiece. And then that thing is slapped on the table next to it. It can never, ever equate. They would have to make crafting items so fucking absurdly strong that when they become available, they are the only option for gearing, which is boring and bad. So if they just made crafting items statically really strong, they just don't work, because then they're the only thing you can wear, and prices are crazy because everyone needs to craft. I don't want crafting to be a mandatory thing that you feel stupid for not interacting with, but I think players who like it, who want to pursue it, who want to make their own stuff, should have an option for that stuff to be worth anything. So in my head, what I was thinking is, I've been trying to think all day how to describe it, but I'm going to call it like a masterwork chisel or something. Masterwork craftsman's chisel, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But it would basically be an item that takes a crafted piece of gear that you've made, say an Arcanite Reaper, because it's the example we've made so far, and you apply it the first time, it turns it into a heroic dungeon gear. So it adds like 5-6 item level to it. It adds more stamina and more damage range to it. You use another chisel on it, and the chisels are consumed on use. It becomes mythic. Another, it becomes the equivalent to a mythic 1. And so you could create these chisels for your crafted gear and basically use them to create parallels to mythic gear. So maybe crafted gear has certain effects that are super valuable that you want to use on not such a dogshit item, like a crafted trinket with alchemy or something, like the Philosopher's Stones and shit, right? And it's really good, but eventually you're just going to get a mythic 40 Ramstein's Thunderbolts or some shit, and it's worthless. What if you could have a mythic 40 Philosopher's Stone through the Artisan's Chisels or whatever the fuck the devs would, if they adopt this system, would call them? It doesn't really matter what they're called. But I think every production profession, specifically blacksmithing, leatherworking, and tailoring, should make chisels that coincide with blacksmithing. Should get weapons as well, because that's like their whole thing. Like weaponsmith is a subclass that exists for professions. But like blacksmiths should make chisels for mail and plate armor. Leatherworkers should make chisels for leather and mail because they kind of overlap in that weird way. And tailors should make chisels for cloth. And I'm thinking maybe because dual crafting doesn't exist, jewelry. So that each profession gets to dabble in 2 types of gear so that the market isn't like skewed against tailors. I don't know. There's some nuance that you could figure out there, but basically they can all create these chisels and all use them on their associated profession gear to upgrade them. And maybe even if they're not using it for themselves, if someone could buy something that's equivalent to a Mythic 40 axe on the market or something, that'd be really worthwhile for money making. But you could even argue that goes into, you know, buying power territory. So maybe chiseling something should make it soulbound to you immediately. That's fair. just even talking with my own idea. I'm thinking out loud. I honestly think doing something like that would make crafting, it gives crafting an avenue to be an infinitely worthwhile system within the expansion. It never goes away. Like, if you want to rock a true silver champion that you made from, you know, level, you know, fresh cap 60 to like downing Onyxia or whatever, go ahead and do that. That's awesome. Love that for you. I just want that to exist.
Without it, it runs a real risk of, like, blacksmithing would just be completely useless. There would be no point.
Yeah.
And the one of the main reasons you would ever go blacksmithing to begin with is, let's say, Lionheart helm.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
The Lionheart helm in Classic was the best in slot warrior helmet from Molten Core to Naxxramas.
Yeah.
You didn't get any better.
Yeah. 18
And
strength, 28 crit, 20 hit. Yeah.
That's just, there was nothing better than that at the time.
Yeah.
But because it's with crafting and there's no way to up the power, yes, it might still be good for, like, the start, but then you do one mythic +1 and get something with similar stats, and then you just get rid of it. There's no point.
Yeah, I'm looking through Blackrock Depths for a plate helm right now, because I just want to do it right in front of the recording. Something that's DPS skewed, maybe.
So, Eye of Rend is somewhat close. It doesn't give hit, but a lot of other things would. And the Mask of the Unforgiven from Strathome. It's leather, but it gives stamina, crit, and hit. And if those are what you're looking for, getting a mythic 20 of that would be infinitely better than base crafted Lionheart helm.
Do you know where Mask is from?
Mask is Strathome. Eye of Rend is from Upper Blackrock, off of Warchief Rend. But those are just some, like, common examples.
Yeah.
Even going with weapon, you know, Arcanite. Yes, it's good, but why wouldn't you just get a Barbarous Blade from Dire Maul?
Okay, yeah. I have Rend, right? Doing like a mythic 20. I have Rend is 10 item levels above Lionheart helm. Gives more strength, also gives stamina, gives us 2 more hit, and gives, I think, over 15 more crit rating, or it's like 10 more crit rating. So there will be a time that comes relatively soon in the end game timeline where that's also a super chase item. Like, not all crafting recipes are created equal, right? That will become obsolete, and there's oceans and oceans of recipes in the game that will be way worse than Lionheart helm is way sooner. So without a system like the chisels that I'm proposing, that upgrades crafting gear, it becomes eventually obsolete. Now, if the player base at large and the dev team at large say, we don't give a fuck about crafting, we want it to be obsolete, my bad, you know, my bad. I guess I'll have to be the odd one out, and I'll take that L if that comes. But a part of the changes Bronzebeard made that they advertised is a revamp to the crafting system. And they've definitely done that. I mean, they slapped affixes on pretty much all of the recipes, and it makes crafting gear, largely, for the level that you find it at, better than anything else you can get. Like, if you craft a level 30 blue, there's no dungeon level 30 blue that is going to equate a well-rolled crafted item. So that's awesome. It's just that it disappears in the end game. And for a large portion of the player base, they spend a significantly more time in endgame than they do leveling. So the whole concept of revamped and revitalized crafting ends the second you hit cap, pretty much. And that's not good. So figuring out something like a chisel, again, I don't know how much manpower it would take. I don't know how much work it would take. But I figure it's not the most because they've made a lot of Ascension original items that they slapped into dungeons. And then they also have like Mythic Plus versions of them. So I would assume if they did like, I don't know what they would call it, Crafted Plus or Masterwork Plus, whatever the, I don't know. You could even just still slap Mythic Plus on it. Whatever naming convention, if you could make Crafted 40 gear through, I mean, obviously it would be large investment. I don't want it to be like easy where it's the only way to gear because it's so like brain dead easy, but having it be an option at all would be really cool. Any final thoughts on crafting?
No, not that I can think of.
All right. And any final thoughts on the feedback overall?
I think overall, and this isn't touching into PvP, which is a very niche scene in itself. If I wanted to play Classic Plus, and none of the things we talked about were changed, I probably wouldn't play this.
Yeah.
Because then it's not Classic Plus. It is a loon, but you're locked to these 9 classes.
Yeah.
And then it puts, as someone who has played Ascension for 6-7 years, got my brothers into Ascension, got my whole friend group into Ascension, you now really heavily invested into Ascension. It puts a sour taste in my mouth for anything in the future, because if they put mana storms and dungeons are the way they are in this, then in Conquest of Azeroth it's going to be the same thing, and it's going to be a loon but 22 classes.
Yeah.
And that really scares me, because when the big announcement came out, I was so excited that it would be, oh, well, there's a content drought on a loon. I guess I'll go play Conquest. Oh, well, I'm raid logging in Conquest. I'll play Classic Plus. And if it's all just log in, do your mana storms, log out, what does it matter if you have all these different realms?
Exactly. If you go to each new realm and the content experience is exactly the same, there might as well not be new realms. I don't want the Ascension devs to go, herd, deleting Bronzebeard right now. You know, but it's just, it's very, I agree with the point infinitely. I couldn't agree more. If Bronzebeard is just going to be a loon where everything is super fast, you have Mana Storm, you have Looking for Group, you spend 90% of your time in the capital city waiting for dungeons and blah blah blah, and then you transfer it to Bronzebeard and all it is that, but I'm a shaman. I mean, shamans are cool, but like that's not it. Long term, that's not it. Like, you're not going to get a different experience. It's going to feel broadly the same. You're doing the same things, and you're just going to stop playing. So, if their ultimate... Go ahead.
Because I know there's going to be some people who take the time to watch this and get to this point.
Yeah.
And in their mind, they're going, well, just don't play it, forehead.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
It's what's going to happen. Not just not.
And then
a lot of people are just going to go, I'll just go play this classic. So I'll go play Turtle WoW.
Yeah, there's already like seas of comments on anything Bronzebeard that goes, bro, just play Turtle WoW. So if it comes out if it comes out in the state that it's in, which obviously it won't, that's why early access exists. Hopefully all this stuff is fixed, but blah, 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 blah. If it comes out and the game looks like this, a lot of people are going to go, well, I'm just going to go play Turtle WoW. It's a really popular Classic Plus server. I've heard great things about Turtle WoW. So yeah, the answer, just don't play it, forehead. You know, good answer, but the problem is people are actually going to do that. And then your server is going to be super low population. And, you know, I don't know, like, worst case scenario, if you like Bronzebeard's experience as it is, it might just get shut down if it has, like, no players at all. So, if you like the current Bronzebeard projection of mana storms and fast dungeon queues, and you sit in the capital and you do a whole bunch of fast, if that's your vibe, I have great news. Area 52 and Loon already exist. They already offer that experience. We can't have 4 different servers that all offer the exact same experience. So, I mean, we can. Don't think it's going to go well.
It comes down to, and I had this talk with my brother way before Conquest of Azeroth, like, betas were rolling out. With the talk of, oh, Mana Storm's added, oh, looking for group is the same. Why even make the classes? Why not just make them enchants? What's the point of having an entire server like that when you're doing the same thing? You're just playing a different build.
Yeah.
And I was, I jumped in the classic hype train following hardcore. And if it comes down to that, I would just play Turtle WoW.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you play Turtle WoW if you're looking for not even authentic, but a Classic Plus experience?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Classic Plus is like, we need like 80% Classic. Right now, we're at like 10. Like, the 10% is that the open world is phenomenal. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. I can't gush about it enough. I like the server. You know, we're wrapping towards the end of the video, and I spent an hour complaining about the server. No one complains about something for an hour if they don't like it. I just want it to be better. I wanted to avoid these mistakes because I can see them coming a mile away. People are going to complain about this. The people who signed up for Classic Plus, and Bronzebeard has Classic Plus on its title, they're going to come in, they're going to see Mana Storms, they're going to see Dungeon Finder, they're going to see how fast the game is, how fast the leveling is, this, that, and the other, and they're going to go, this isn't fucking Classic. What the fuck is this? And they're not going to play it. If they're looking for Classic, they're not going to play it. And this server is supposed to be Classic.
Could you imagine trying to sell somebody on Bronzebeard by saying, yeah, they're planning on doing Classic Plus. They added all this to the open world. I got this weapon from doing the, I don't know if it's a thing, but I assume, doing the stance quests that I didn't even need to do. I just felt like going to do it, and it gave me this. Yeah. And then somebody goes, oh, I'll watch a video on that. And it's running through Mana Storm for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a Bronzebeard guide to Mana Storms, and it's a guy running at 200 movement speed permanently because he has the speed potion popped, and he has the strength and the muscle maxer and the this and the that, and he's running past all the mobs and getting to a boss, killing it in 10 seconds, hopping in a portal, and doing that for 10 minutes while he talks about like what Mana Storm consumables you need and whatever, and you're like, this is Classic? What are we saying? This looks like a fucking like fighting game like Ninja Storm Gaiden or God of War or some shit. Like, you're just like, where's the RPG? You're just flying through everything, nuking everything, and just zooming. That's not Classic. So I don't know.
Final thoughts for me, because this is like an hour and a half video.
Yeah.
If you never interact with the green eye button, the looking for group, looking for activity button, if you don't touch that at all, It's like an 8 out of 10 right now.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, I'm feeling 9 or 10, honestly. I've had nothing to complain. Not, I mean, there's been like a single moment of frustration where like a mob glitched and wouldn't stop going to full health and I died. But like, I don't, that is a drop in the fucking beautiful world that I've been experiencing. For me, it's a 9 or a 10. I don't know. So it's really good without all the shit we're talking about that's coming. That seems like it's going to kill the whole experience. All right.
I think that's about it.
Yeah. All right. So if you enjoyed this much longer than I thought it was going to be discussion, then obviously let me know your thoughts on everything we said. Are we dead fucking wrong? Are we stupid? Should Mana Storm exist? Is Mana Storm the thing that's gonna save classic WoW? Is Dungeon Finder actually okay? You know, or am I right? Do you agree? Is this stuff that interests you? You know, do you want crafting to be good? Do you want crafting to be bad? I don't know. Tell me what you thought about what we said. Share some of your own thoughts on Bronzebeard. Obviously, I'm going to make a discussion post alongside the posting of this video on the actual Bronzebeard Discord, and hopefully anything productive can get done there. I want the server to succeed. I really, really like it. I'm invested. I don't feel like my money has been wasted buying it early now, even though it's going to be free later. As of now, I don't feel like my money is wasted, but I am worried. But with all that being said, remember to leave a like if you made it this far in the video. It was clearly interesting. Go ahead and subscribe, and I look forward to reading your comments and responding to them. I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.